Hello everybody. So I'm going to take a little break this week from my normal gym focused stuff and I'm going to talk more about psychological things, particularly mental illness. So why am I doing this? Why am I putting myself out here? I've suffered with anxiety and depression for quite a large chunk of my life, particularly between 15 and 20 was when it was at its worst. Really bad anxiety disorder and frequent bouts of depression. Now recently one of my clients, who's a lovely young girl, she's too young, she shouldn't be suffering with this, has started to get anxiety. And she's doing something about it, which is really, really good, but I'm kind of putting this video out there as a bit of social support because I feel it's something that should be talked about. So why don't we talk about it? Well, mental illness is a really big social taboo. It's not like when you get a cold and you take a day off work and you'll probably tell everyone, you'll whinge about your flu or your cold. Mental health people often hold inside them. They won't let people know, they won't let people see it. They feel that it's far more scary and that they're going to be judged far more harshly, or particularly in my case when I was young, I was really worried about being seen as weak and getting picked on because I had depression and anxiety, which is really, really sad. It made it a lot worse. I also want to do this as a bit of a shout out to my sister who suffers with awful anxiety, and I'm also putting myself out here because my girlfriend recently did a video on some of the taboo things that she's dealt with, which I was really, really proud of. So I think more people should get these things out in the open. It's going to help you a lot more. So what is anxiety? So for all of you that haven't really suffered with a lot of anxiety in your life, you've probably had it maybe in very small bursts, maybe a really important job interview, exams, public speaking, maybe a grand final for a sport. Your heart rate's started to go faster. Your breathing has become shallower and quicker. Your stomach's probably got butterflies, you feel a bit nauseous, you feel quite tense, and your mind's racing. It's going really, really quickly, and it's so difficult to control. Now, some of you might deal with that really, really well, and if you are, that's fantastic, but a lot of us don't. And when you don't, you can get this thing called a generalized anxiety disorder, where you start to feel that way all the time. But the symptoms can be crippling. You could be up all night. There were nights there where I just wouldn't sleep because I was so afraid of something coming the next day. I'd be up literally rocking in my bed till dawn, and I would just eventually collapse from exhaustion. That's how I slept. The anxiety gets so bad that you feel like you got to throw up, and sometimes you do. Your heart rate's going, your palms are sweaty. It makes it really, really difficult to do really simple things. Now, anxiety is generally something we get in fight or flight situations. It's something you get when a lion jumps out of the bushes at you. Maybe you see a spider in your bed. Maybe you jump out of a plane, because I don't know why the fuck you'd do that, but maybe you do and you get anxiety for it. You can get that for anything. You can get something called a generalized anxiety disorder, which is what I had. And it's when you're just afraid of anything, social situations. I remember going to TAFE was very, very difficult for me, and I got very bad anxiety the first few months of TAFE. My first day at work. It could even be something as simple as going outside or going and playing soccer and doing something you really, really love. So that makes life very, very difficult when you're feeling that way all the time. And it interferes with your life and it stops you from doing things, which is where it leads to depression often or not. They're both quite related. So now that you've got that image in your head, that's what a lot of people deal with, and they're afraid to talk about it. So I want to encourage people to talk about it more, and I want to encourage people to go to psychologists, to go to health professionals, and to do what they can before these things become chronic issues and affect your life. Don't let it beat you. Don't let it rule your life. Don't spend years like I did just denying myself things that I would have loved and experiences I would have loved because I was so afraid of admitting that I had this problem. And I've recently become confident enough to start talking to my friends about it and mentioning it in passing. But when I was a teenager, I couldn't. I was so scared. I left school early because I had such bad anxiety. And I'm sure my friends now, looking back, probably would have supported me had I come out and said, I'm suffering with anxiety and depression and I need help. So I want to challenge you all to be more open about these things when you suffer with them and to get help when you can, because it's something that can be very, very scary and it can impact you greatly, but it doesn't have to. You can beat it. I've got complete control over it now. Well, almost. I don't get bad anxiety when I go to exams. I don't get bad anxiety when I go to job interviews or play soccer. It's something I can control, so I can go do those things more regularly. So if you have any kind of mental illness, or you've suffered with it, or you know someone who suffers with it, know that it's okay, and that people out there are going to be more accepting than you think, and that they're going to be able to get through it, and they're going to fight their way through it. But admitting it is the first step, like any problem. So good luck to all of you, and I'll be putting a video up later in the week discussing my shin splints and discussing a few more things in the industry. I'm still deciding what format to go with, so any feedback is fantastic, and I'm hopefully going to be pumping out more of these videos over the next few weeks. Thank you again for watching.